your story about the swimming pool, I always come back to when I first met you, which was in the swimming pool, and I tell this story every year. This kind gentleman came to me and said, "Oh, you're new on the island?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Can you drive?" I said, "Yes." He said, "How would you like to drive a bus for us?" So I can't forget that story. Jim, in the sake of time, let me ask a couple questions and give my colleagues and then the audience an opportunity. I understand your request is centered around the bus itself in total. I just have a question. Can you explain the $1,200 that you listed for communications? What is,
sure, okay.
What is that about?
Well, the internet, the phone, the cell phone that I have, telephone that I have, the office. So also our money is used, and we have used it for holiday parties. We sponsor a Thanksgiving Day sit-down dinner, as if they were at home with their family. We get volunteers to come in and people to volunteer food. We also run the discount food program on the island.
Okay. Well, it came to my attention, and your explanation is broader than communication. So, just as a suggestion, you might consider that when you explain it going forward, okay, on your application. And I think you've answered another question I have, what happens if no PPF grant, but would you like to say that again?
Well, with no PPF grant, we don't...
The bus remains parked.
The bus remains parked.
Okay, thank you. Ava?
What happens to the other parts of your services? So you mentioned that your project is aimed at being able to continue to provide the services to the disabled on Roosevelt Island and sometimes even to all residents, like with the loan program for wheelchairs and scooters, walkers, etc. But you also provide fax and copying services, catering of meals, and serving as an advocate for the disabled in general. Is the public purpose fund your only funding resource for all these services?
Okay, well, we in the past, we had gotten money from the city council. I do all this with $15,000 to $16,000, 45 trips a year. Like I said, the only person we pay is the driver. Everybody's a volunteer. And we solicit goods from Gristedes and other places, Costco, and they give us to help us with parties and things like that. Soda or ice, or we do a lot of potlucks. People come together. We want to make our people come together. It's very important for us that they get out of their house. They're not going to get out of their wheelchair, but we need to get them out of their house and provide for them to be active with other people.
Thank you.
Hi, Jim. My question, membership. How many members at this point, and what does it take to be a member?
Okay.
Actually, wheelchair versus...
Okay, our members are 70, we have about 70 to 75.
Right.
Down from 5 years ago, we had 90,
Right.
because people died. And no disabled people are moving in. Of course, we're older people who become disabled later in life, and their disability are not as extensive as mine might be, but they're walking in with a walker now or a cane. So we provide, for them also.
So would they be qualified then? I mean,
Yeah,
as people...
Well, anybody can join our organization. We have some volunteers that join also, with the understanding that when we do our activities, they'll help us set tables, serve, and things like that. And we charge $10 a year, but that $10 goes for the annual dinner, which is in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Which costs us even more than the $10, because we get it catered.
Do you have access to TFAP, EFAP funding for your food? And when you do your bus rides, always full? On the 45 trips that you do? Standing room only?
Minimum 10, mostly 13, 15.
Great. Great.
Well, I think on your trips, your bus has to accommodate other things that take up space. So in that context,
15 passengers, so.
Yeah, and we could put 5 wheelchairs.
Right.
yes, okay, very good. Let's turn to the audience. Any questions for Uncle Jim? Right?
So your bus cannot operate because you don't have insurance for the bus. How long has that been going on? And how much would the insurance cost?
$4,200
Month, a year?
a year.
And because you don't have that $4,200, you haven't been able to go on these trips?
So again, we only raise enough money to pay all our bills. We never have what they call an excess, which I don't understand how other people do that, because who we get our money from require us to spend all our money on public purpose, as well as the city council. So we have to pay it before we get it. With the exception of public purpose, who gives us the initial half, and then when I submit to them those bills, they give me the next half.
Well, any other questions from the audience?
I do. I have 2 questions.
I don't need that, you just talk to me.
All right. Please explain how the Disabled Association has used previous public purpose fund grants to leverage other private or public money for the benefit of the community, and how do you plan to use the 2015 grant to leverage additional funding going forward?
Okay, if that means getting more grant money, I'll tell you what we have just done. Judy Birdie was at a meeting with me with Amalgamated Bank, and they have contacted me, and they will be taking us on as a not-for-profit organization which they will support here on the island. They've given us X amount of dollars for some of the repairs. They've given us a gift card for gas, and they will also match dollar for dollar for a fundraiser they will do in their branch with them advertising what the money is for. And also, we have made contact with Trans Canada, which is right across the bridge here. One of my good friends has made contact with them. We're in the process of meeting with their community relations person, who has in the past provided, well, I don't know exactly what they provided, but provided services, or in some cases, maybe even a bus that the Con Edison people don't need, or they go through buses like Brentwood to Richmond, and we can get a newer bus. So again, we'll be meeting with them. I have sent other information out for grants, never got a response. One of the things that we're not a national organization. We're probably the only independent disabled association in New York State. We don't have any parent organizations to back us up, national organization. They never have. They never saw the desire for it because they wanted to stay focused on meeting the needs of people who live on Roosevelt Island and not spread that out.
And your whole population is, your whole membership is Roosevelt Island residents.
Everybody, yes.
Because we encountered this, I think, the last time that we met. We also spoke about some of the disadvantages of not having a larger umbrella, funding-wise and things, but independence is good.
Yeah.
Any other audience questions?
I have another question. Will you explain how the 2015 PPF grant to your organization aligns with REOC's mission, purpose, duties, and authority?
Okay, I believe REOC's mission is to benefit, assist not-for-profit organizations so that they can function within their own, maybe I'm lost for a word here. Well, what else should be for the disabled people? Nobody on this island is looking after disabled people but us. Okay, extensively. REOC knows this, and I believe REOC in this island has a history of, for the disabled, which unfortunately is becoming less and less because of there's no more subsidized housing. Disabled people are some of the poorest people on the island. And the reason why I said that they don't have access to go across the island to pick up food at a food pantry or something like that. And if they're under 55, they won't qualify for this new program that the seniors are having, which, by the way, they will be using my bus to go pick up the food for them. Not my bus, my van. And if we get our insurance, and if it gets so large that they need the bus, we'll use the bus. This is the fresh food program that's, as of starting next week, is going to be made available through the borough president. And they'll be taking advantage of that. But again, they don't have access to work. They don't have access to just places to go to look for work. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't happen.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? I would like to ask one other question based upon something you said earlier, Jim. I want to make sure I understand this. You mentioned Amalgamated Bank and you mentioned TransCanada. I think you said for TransCanada that they're looking at RIDA, or RIDA. However, for the bank, did you say that they have promised you money during this term, or have they made some definitive promise to you in terms of amount?
Okay, what they did, they made a definitive amount of, they didn't say when it's going to come, of $1,000. $1,000. And this is really to go towards the repairs of the bus. See, this is the first year we've ever applied for repairs, only because we didn't get the city council grant. And these are necessary repairs. But they also said that little fundraiser thing they're going to do in the bank, that money's going to go towards repairs. So,
Okay, and once again,
I don't know how much they're going to get, whatever, we don't know. We know they offered $1,000. When we're going to get it?
Okay, so they mentioned money, but they haven't tied it to a specific time frame.
No.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think unless someone has any comments, that really concludes our session for this evening.